Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Welcome to this webinar on behalf of CXO and our partner Cubus. A very warm welcome. During this webinar, our partner Cubus will do a presentation and a demo of their product Cubus EV. It's great that I see already quite some customers are joining this webinar. Thank you very much for joining. I will briefly introduce myself. My name is Joost Vogelenzang, and I'm within CXO. My main mission is to make sure, together with our customer success team, that you as a customer are successful as possible, leading to cost savings, process efficiency improvements, etc. So that's my main goal within CXO Cockpit, to achieve that. And I think we all recognize this situation, what you see here on the screen. Where during the reporting cycle, it's key to be efficient and effective in order to have more time available for analyzing the data, instead of spending a lot of time on preparation activities. So within the CXO Cockpit software, we focus on making you more efficient. If I go to the next slide, then you see the way that we do that is by offering you reporting and guided analysis, answering the question, what has happened? But from you as our customers, I've heard several times that you also want to have the possibility to really drill down to the detailed information in order to answer the when, the where, the how question, ultimately leading to the answer, why has this happened? And for this, you need ad hoc analysis functionality. And that is the main reason that we have a collaboration between CXO and Cubus, where CXO Cockpit can provide you with reporting and guided analysis, and where Cubus can provide you with ad hoc analysis functionality. And we feel and we think that this is a great fit, bringing our customers a lot of extra value. So it is a real pleasure to introduce to you Harald Matzke from Cubus, and he will do the presentation and the demo of the Cubus EV product. So Harald, I will hand over to you now, and I will make you presenter.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So thank you, Joost, for this introduction. My name is Harald. I'm with Cubus since 25 years, and one of my roles within Cubus is I'm the CFO. So the product I will present to you in the next couple of minutes is the product I use on a daily basis to do my analysis, and I'm a big fan of it. And I would like to share some insights, some ideas about it. And I always know that if we do those type of software presentations, the first question is why we do that. And I think Joost did a really good job in explaining what the value for CXO Cockpit customers is. We are very happy about this partnership with CXO because we have exactly the opposite issue. Our customers, they love a very easy way of analyzing data on analyzing within a multidimensional cube, but they lack dashboarding capabilities and very good representations of the data that could be on the screens and on the desktops of the various decision makers. So I think from an added value perspective, the CXO product and the Cubus product, this is an ideal fit. And I hope to give you an idea within the next couple of minutes about our product, and I would be very happy if I could prove you this additional value and the essence of the product. So the intention for today is to go quickly through some PowerPoints to do a little introduction about Cubus and about the product, and then spend most of the time with the product and I have reserved some minutes at the end to do Q&A. If you have questions in between, it would be great if you can use the chat function, and then maybe Joost, if you have the chat, if you can see the chat, then please give me an idea. I will make that an icon so I don't have that on the screen. Okay, so let's start with it. Quick Cubus introduction. So we are focusing on fact-based decision making. That's what we do. We have a performance management planning solution as well that had been part of our offering since many years. We have 25 years of experience. So we had our 25 years anniversary last year in December. We have about 40 employees. We're headquartered in Germany. Most of our people are living and working in Germany, and 2 guys out of Switzerland. And then we have partners around the world, partners like CXO, but also reselling partners that help to bring our products to the customers and make sure they are well introduced. So this is similar to the partner ecosystem that CXO has. We're a very customer-centric organization. That's pretty the same than with CXO. So we think, like, even from a culture perspective, on the way we deal with customers, we're very close to each other. And we have an OLAP experience since '95. So this was the first time we get across, in those days, the Arbor S-based products, which then had been Hyperion S-based, and today Oracle S-based, and then Microsoft Analysis Services and IBM TM1 or IBM Planning Analytics came onto our agenda later. So who do we work with? We have about 400 customers around the world active with Cubus EV. There are some more known brands, and I don't know exactly from which geographies you are, but there are some big companies in the US like MasterCard or MetLife or Kroger, and some European companies like Nokia and UBS and Carl Zeiss, and some there, and most of those are working on a worldwide basis as well, but also some smaller European companies like Greta Sport, which is a famous chocolate brand here. So they are all using EV. And we are serving today 3 different platforms, Oracle S-based, Microsoft Analysis Services, and IBM TM1. I still call it TM1. Even the official brand name now is IBM Planning Analytics. So these are the 3 databases we are supporting. And all those customers are one of those platforms. There is a BI survey. It's the world's largest one from a company called BARC. I don't know if you're familiar with this. They have about 3,000 participants, 2,500 detailed answers last year, which means that they had 42 products in their evaluation in 9 different peer groups. We, with our product suite, are in 4 different peer groups, and in total we had about 27 top ranks. So this means we had been number 1 in that criteria in this peer group. And I could spend a lot of time, because 27, there you could talk a lot of time about that, but I want just to highlight 2 things. I know that some people in the audience are on an S-based technology. This is out of the BARC BI survey, the front ends that are used for S-base. And as you can see, the first 2 are the Excel add-ins. Then already the third is Cubus Outperform, just before Oracle BI and Hyperion Planning. And then CXO Cockpit is the second largest S-base based front end. So this is the first 2 third-party products on S-base now are able to join forces and provide an integrated approach. And this is something that motivates us a lot. Another thing, if we talk about self-service and ad hoc analysis, there is a criteria for flexibility for end users in this peer group, self-service reporting focused products. And as you can see, we have 9.7 out of 10, and the second most flexible product, Dimensional Insight, is at 6.6. So this is customer voice. So this is what people say about Cubus and about our products. So there are a lot more that we are on top, like vendor support, which is very important for us as a customer-centric organization as well. But I don't want to spend too much time about that. So the question is, what does that mean if CXO Cockpit and Cubus EV will come together? It's not that we have two separate products that work independently from each other. We're actually working, our development teams are working on an integration. And I had this screenshot out of development. What will happen is that on your CXO Cockpit screen, there will be a new icon that will have a tooltip that says Start Ad-hoc Analysis. So what you be able to do then is click on this one, and then EV will open up and provide you the exact same view with the exact same point of view with the exact same elements that are OLAP database elements will provide you with that. And that could look like this. So this is another CXO Cockpit screen. And if we look at these elements here, you get exactly the same elements on this EV view. So this is the way how we feel like integration should be done. So there's one, there will be one icon where you can click on and it will start the ad hoc analysis. And there's will be another option. If you choose one of those lines and follow the link that is attached to it, it will open up another predefined EV view exactly with the point of view that is selected over here. So that's about my PowerPoint introduction, to Cubus EV, and I will now start with the live demo. So I switch to my web environment. I already logged in, and when I log in, I get into the area where I can select my views. So recall, this is an ad hoc analysis tool, so I have different views on my screen. If you have it integrated with CXO, you click on a button and it will open up a new window, and I will show you what you can then do with this data in a second. So in this case, I will create a new one as we don't have the integration yet, and I will use a template to start my demo. And this template is an unformatted report on a very tiny little OLAP database. We can see in this case that there is a very simple profit and loss statement. We have some products in the database, markets, we have different years, and we have a scenario dimension with actual budget and variance. So if we'll look at that data, first thing that we want to do is that we highlight the lines that are most important to us. So we go to the Format tab, ask for the member formatting, click on margin and say I want to have margin bold and I want to have total expenses bold. I want to add another formatting for profit, and for profit I want to have a slight line before and a thicker line after. Confirm it, and what you can see is that the report is formatted. In this case, it makes no sense to have decimals in place, so I get rid of this decimals just in this case. I don't have the year value with it, so I want to have the year as well. It is an element of the database. So whenever I want to have an element out of a database, I click on the dimension and I get to the select member dialog. In this case, I add the year. The simple logic is whatever is blue is selected, whatever is not blue is not selected. So I confirm with OK, and it brings me year on my screen. And I personally prefer to have year at the end. So I take year with the mouse and just drag it to the end. So I can drag it wherever I want, but in that case, I want to drag it to the end. I might choose another element from another dimension, in this case, the measure dimension, because there's a predefined profit ratio, and I want to see that as well. So profit in percent is there as well. And now I can see in my data that profit is going down for the beverage company in Market East. So the next question might be, okay, but what does that mean on a month level? So what I can do is again click on that dimension and then expand the Q1, and I get the month's values, and I can get rid of these other elements. but that's a little bit boring because I need a lot of clicks to go from a quarter level to a month level. I can do that by 2 clicks. Deselect all, select all lowest, and then I confirm, and then I have my month's values. So, and I can then reduce the screen to get everything on my screen. So now I can see that really sales is dropping for all the products in the market East. So my next question, and this is the typical analyst type of thing, is, okay, what are the products where sales dropped? So I take product and I simply swap it with the product dimension. As you can see, sales is now part of my analysis. I just do an undo to show you if I would do the same for margin. Margin would stay here. So it's always very intuitive to take an element, drop it to somewhere else, and then you exchange those 2 dimensions. In this case, I still have a tabular representation. And there are some people that love to work with tables. And there are others, they prefer charts. So in this case, with EV, you can choose between a table and a chart, and it will give you exactly the same data into a chart. Or you can say, I want to have both at the same time. And you can decide if your table is down or up or whatever. So for a second, let's use this, this chart. So the slicing and dicing we had in the tables, I can do exactly the same for charts. And in this case, if I want to see the development through the months, I could change the bar chart to line charts. Now I can see that colas and root beer, so the blue line and the green line, they are in trouble. So I want to analyze colas in more detail. So I take colas and do the same that I did for the tables. Now I do the same in the chart. So I can decide if I do my analysis in tables or in charts. In that case, all the other markets are quite well, but East, the blue line, is really the one that drops down. So I might want to do a drill down on East. There are 2 ways of doing that. The less experienced people will use the navigate panel and then click on East. I do an undo. And more experienced users like me work with the product since quite a while. We go to the element, press the right mouse button, and say drill down on East. And it will go then 1 level down and give me the states of East. And I can see that New York and Massachusetts are really bad. Florida is quite okay. So the question is, what is really happening here? So I switch back to the table. And again, it will turn the exact view into a tabular representation. In this case, I want to analyze New York in more details with the product group colas. And if I look at the data, I can see that marketing expenses are going down. I would like to get a ratio for marketing on sales, but unfortunately, this is not a ratio that had been predefined by the person who defined the cube. So I need to do my own calculation. And one of the big strengths of that product is that little calculator. So you don't need to understand something about MDX queries or something like that. It's a small little calculator that you can use. And there are some predefined functions. As I mentioned, I want to do a ratio calculation. So there is a ratio function. And I want to name this one marketing on sales percent. And now I simply click on marketing and sales, confirm that, and now I have a marketing on sales ratio. And really, I can see that they really drop down marketing. I could use this element not only to be calculated on that table, but I can continue using that to do analysis. So I can take marketing on sales and pull that on the market dimension, and I can now see the 5 states that I had previously on my screen, and I can see, yes, there is a difference. Florida didn't cut marketing expenses like New York and Massachusetts did. Let's switch back. And now I want to show you another possibility to visualize data in a multidimensional way, but to something that really gives you insight on numbers. So in that case, I change again sales with New York, and I will add the product groups and I will stack those two dimensions. So you can also stack dimensions in different ways. I could do it in this way, or I can do it this way. I know that cream soda and fruit soda is not the issue, so I just have a look at colas and root beer. Again, if I switch that to a chart, and even if I merge the rows, I now have 10 lines, but I don't really see something in that chart. There is too much information. What we have added to EV is the small multiple possibility. So I click on small multiple, and now it will turn this one chart with 10 lines into 10 charts with 1 line each. And now I can see, and this is still multidimensional, so I can see that New York, for root beer, they cut it down, they lost sales, and Massachusetts as well. Florida is going up in both directions. And I always thought like area charts are senseless. In small multiples, they get more sense because by this shape, you can see what's going on there. And obviously, we are still in a multidimensional environment, so we can choose and change from sales to marketing. And now we can see what's going on. Florida, they kept their marketing expenses open on a steady level, whereas New York and Massachusetts, they cut it down, their marketing expenses. So that might be a reason. To be very honest, fairly simple answer for a difficult question, but that's part of the demo. So let's go back to the table, and let's get an idea on how we could work with this data. So let's go back to this one, and now I simply want to reduce that to the year values because I want to do an actual to budget comparison. However, what I want to do is I want to still be able to see the trend on the month level. So I go to member and I add a sparkline. Click on add. I give this one a name, history. I simply select the month level, one click. So I have all the levels of months. I add the high and low point. There are more things that you can add, and then I simply press and I get a sparkline. I can put that wherever I want to, okay? Now I want to do an actual to budget comparison. So I take actual down, and now it gives me an actual to budget variance, which for the year is good. But for the sparklines, that's not what I want to do. I just want to have the actual sparklines. So I just select history and get rid of actual budget variance and variance percent. So this is what we call an asymmetrical selection. The second thing I want to do is I have this variance column, and I want to make this variance column be more visible what's going on. So I take the data bar functionality, I click on the variance element, I specify I want to have a variance bar. Personally, I don't like those bright colors. I prefer the darker ones. So I select them. I would like to have my axis centered and not a black one because that's not very pretty. I just want to have a gray one. So now I have done all my specifications, and if I confirm with the OK button, it will turn those variance number in a variance chart, and we call this a cell chart, like the sparkline is a cell chart as well. So if you continue to do other selections, like stepping through the states, you can see, or selecting East as the total, you can see that the representation will always be the same. Okay, so so this is a basic idea of what you can do with the product. Now let's have a look at some special functionalities that you need if you work in large amounts of data. So in this case, I will switch these two, and let's assume. No, let's do that on the markets. Let's assume we want to find something. This is a small database, but I assume that you have much larger OLAP databases. We have customers having millions of elements in one dimension, so they need to be able to find something. So in this case, I want to search by the alias name, and in this case, I want to search for what is going on here. Let me see that. Alias name, member name. I need that button. Okay, so in this case, I can type that as well. I want to have all the states that have an O in the name. And I can select them. Let me get rid of this one. So let's do it this way. So I select everything with an O, find all. Now he will go through the whole dimension. And give me all the elements that have an O in the name. That could be used, for instance, to search for accounts or for names and legal entities or whatever you want to do. So I say select, it will make them blue. I press the OK button, and I will have exactly those elements. There is one region in it, so I can say deselect this one and have all the states that have an O in the name. Okay, another thing is that you might, if you want to use the find functionality, search by attributes, or if you are working on an SSAS database, these might be hierarchies there. In this particular case, I want to search for a specific distribution, because in the different areas of the states, there are different distributors that serve those states. So in this case, I want to have East-West beverages. I want to see only those states that have this name. So keep found, close. And now I have all the states where East Beverage is the distributor. So when you look into large amounts of data, you can use the find function, and there are more options than I can show in just a couple of minutes to get an idea about this data. So let's continue with Oregon, and let's have a look at their products. And in this case, I want to have all the products on the lowest level. And I use something like the sort to say, okay, what are on a year base the biggest, the most sold products? So I can look for sort descending. And in this case, what I want to do is I want to add, let us go on the top level and redo the sorting. Okay, so now we have on total markets for the sales for the current year, the top selling products. Let's assume we want to do a calculation on the top 10 products. So I just click on it, it will automatically do a sum. With the small calculator, I would add top 3 products. I confirm that. It will add that to the screen. Now I also want to have the rest of the products. I could click them all, but I could also do a calculation on a calculation. So I add total products. I say rest of products. And I will do a product minus top 3 products. For the rest of my analysis, I just want to use those 2 calculated elements. And I might add another dimension, like the market dimension, to get an idea about that. Okay? If, for whatever reason, I want to see what really the elements are, I can put my mouse over it and you can see that the formula is displayed, or I can do a drill down on it. And it will give me exactly those 3 elements. So, and the calculation is still there. So the little calculator is very powerful for those type of static totals. There is another option where you can have dynamic totals, but that might be part of a later session. because I still want to show you two other things that EV makes a very strong product in ad hoc analysis. One thing, and this is again the little calculator, which is one of my favorites. Let me see that. Let's go to the market, and let's do that for all the products. So let's do a calculation where we want to understand in the market what is the percentage of the individual products. So we need the product in total as well. I have it here. I personally prefer it down there. So now I will ask the little calculator. Again, I will take the ratio in percent, and in this case, I will do it. Let me do one step before. Let me put here before. That's easier to handle. So let's do the ratio in percent. Let's call that the product share. And I will now do the actual compared to the total product actual. So what it now will do for me is that it will give me a calculation on that share. If I would reduce or change my analysis on the product level, it will do the exact same calculation. And by the way, diet drinks is an alternative hierarchy, and therefore I would deselect it at that point in time. Okay, so this is also something that is very useful because you could continue working with that. Say, what is the product share of colas in other markets, and it will give you exactly this information. So there's a lot of different things you can do with the calculator. Even cross-dimensional operations are possible. So I have another 2-3 minutes, and I want to give you an idea of what you can do with the sort and select functions. Again, something that is very useful in a large database. And in this case, what we want to do is we take the actual data on the year. That's fine. And we would like to better understand what our top products are. So I switch this one back. And now I want to use the sort and select functionality. In this case, I want to do that on actual data. I want to have it on the lowest elements, so on the individual products. And I want to know what my top, 8 products are. And I can have a descending sort at the same time. I could confirm, but I could also apply and see what the result is. In this case, I might say, okay, let's do the top 5. You will see in a second why. So these are the top 5 products. I confirm that. Now I add the market dimension to it, stack it. And again, in this market dimension, we have the lowest level. But this is a big, big list. I'm only interested to understand what are the top 3 elements. So I use sort and select again. I do a nested sort and select. And say, in this case, I want just to have the top 3 elements from my selected dimension or from the lowest dimension. And if I confirm that with OK, you can see that he will, for the products, give me always the top 3 states. And these are all different. By the way, if you click on that, you can see that he's doing an asymmetrical selection behind the scenes. So the intelligence of the product is helping you to do your analysis work. And yeah, so this is part of that. So what you can also always do is print this stuff. So you have a print dialog here. Obviously, there's something like, from Excel with the fit to page specification. I always use that one. If that applies, you can give it a name. And you can then say it should be displayed on the screen. And you can, in that case, I want to preview it. And it will give you a PDF. You can mail that PDF to someone or print it or whatever. There is an option if you're in a multidimensional area and you want to use that. You can do something like the print range. So in that case, I don't want to use that not only for the current year, but let's assume we also want to have that for the previous years. Should select the print range. That's a better approach, not the quarters. Want to do that. My goodness, where's time? Here's time. No. Here's this one. So do that for 2016 and 17. And if I press OK and said I would like to have these screens according to the print range, if I now do a preview, it will give me the data for 2016 and on the next page on 2017. So, and you can combine that with multiple dimensions to create reports. Another thing that you can do at any time is using the export to Excel worksheet, and there's a set of settings that you can use as well as the print range to get data from your multidimensional database through EV into an Excel sheet for any subsequent work you want to do. So that's basically what I had in mind to show you today. There's a lot more like traffic lights. By the way, you can have predefined charts that you provide for people. Like in this case, we have a predefined formatted table like this, or something like a chart like this. So there are different options, including one thing that I want to show you is this table with descriptive elements. So you can use attributes or hierarchies in SSAS to display that on the table together with bar charts and your numbers. So that was basically my quick introduction to EV, and I'm ready to take any questions. Yeah, if there is any, I would be happy to take it. Joost, can you help me here? Is there any question out of the chat?
So far, Harald, no questions coming out of the chat.
Okay.
So I guess for now, I would really like to thank you for your introduction. It's always a pleasure to see EV live and to do the magic and see everything change. It's really exciting to see. So thank you very much for this introduction. As far as our customers and questions, if there aren't any, we will get back to you on these questions as soon as possible. I see a question coming in from Philip Claus, so maybe we can shine a little bit of your light on that. For now, Harald, is if we can already show a bit more on the integration with CXO.
So I switched back to the PowerPoint. I can only explain that at the moment.
Yes.
So the integration with CXO, there will be two options. As I mentioned before, there will be one out of this screen. So when I press that button, that will be there in one of your next releases. Then all the OLAP elements from this page will be sent to an EV view. So EV will be opened up and will get exactly that table with this exact point of view. So this is then your starting point of your analysis. So when I started it with creating a new view and open a template for it. With the CXO integration, CXO or the integration between CXO and EV will do that for you. So you can immediately start at the point where your question came into your mind. So if there's any variance you see and you need to have more details than prepared in the guided analysis of CXO, you can press the button and you get to the data and do your analysis there. That's option one, okay?
Yeah.
Option two is, if this is a line here, this line can have a link. That's something that you can have today to link it to another CXO Cockpit view. With this, even today, you will be able to link this not only to a CXO view, but also to an EV view. So it will open up a predefined EV view with exactly the point of view that you have here. So these are the two options. It creates a new view for you on the fly, dynamically, or you can have a predefined one and it will pass the point of view to it, and you can then do your analysis there. These are the two options. We are very close in delivering that. It's a question, I assume, with the next releases of both products, we will have that integration ready, which should not be, we are talking about weeks, not months.
Okay. I have another question, Harald. Also, again from Philip. Does it also work with SCCS?
Yes, we are working with Oracle Essbase, Microsoft Analysis Services, SSAS, and IBM TM1. These are the three platforms. You just install EV and you start working with it. You don't need to define anything. It's just that you'll link the EV server to your OLAP database, to your Cube, and then it will take all the metadata into account and start working with it. And it's the same interface. It's the same interface for all three technologies. There are some minor differences because there are some different technologies behind the scenes. But that's always database specific. Okay.
And I have another question coming in from Barbara. And she asks, will this button in the CXO cockpit be enabled on every report, or can it be activated per report?
That's a good one. To be very honest, I don't know. We need to, Claudia, I would ask you to write that question down.
Yeah.
And we will give you the answer. And Joost, I think you could then communicate that to the group that we have had in the webinar today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see a couple of questions coming in that are really specific on the technical parts as well. I see here from Sander coming in one. Would it be possible to open an EV view from a CXO report if the CXO report contains cube calculations? And will the cube calculations be translated to EV?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Again, yeah, I know.
Very good. And it's a very good one. We have made a decision, or the development teams had made a decision that in the first step, they don't support these cube calculations because the concept of making calculations is different in CXO Cockpit than in EV. It's on the list for the next version of or the next level of integration. There are some other aspects on it that we have been on the list. But the major intention was to deliver a first integration that works for most parts of CXO Cockpit and EV, and that was the reason we postponed this special feature for our next release.
Absolutely. Okay, well, thank you very much, Harald, for your questions. I guess we're out of time for now. I see that there are still a couple of questions open. We will report back on everybody with your answers as soon as possible. So right after this, right after the webinar. For now, again, Harald, thank you very much for your presentation and demonstration. And everybody that joined the webinar, thank you for attending. We will be communicating shortly and intensively on the new partnership, and we'll keep you posted on any technical development concerning the integration of CXO and Cubus. So for now, thank you very much, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Thank you, Joost, and thank you for everybody for joining today. It was a pleasure to do that presentation for you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye.